You know what sucks? Emotions. It's a very difficult topic, even though it comes so naturally to everyone. I feel like recently a lot of shit has gone down, personally for each individual that sort of I know, or like myself, and just for the general state of the country and the world altogether, because we know how much a shit show that is. So here I am in the woods, thinking about emotions. I came back home from uni about a week here, just over a week now, and at the time when I came back it wasn't really the best news that I had. My horse was put down, so for like the week before that I had been deciding what was the best option, whether I would choose to use the sort of euthanasia or use the pistol. I in the end decided that it would be better to use a pistol. I have gone through sort of animal deaths before with my former dogs, but I think it was more hard-hitting for my horse because sort of as a bigger animal, it's a bigger presence in your life. And also I'd had her for about 8 years of my life, from start of secondary school all the way until now. And that's sort of a big part for me because I went through such a dramatic change in my personality, and I've come out a stronger person. Not that I didn't have a horrific childhood, but it's just the sort of general school things, and before I used to be quite shy and anxious, and it was difficult for me to kind of start new things or get by as easy as I do now, because I just felt judged all the time and just uncomfortable, and I was just very introverted compared to myself now, and I really like sort of the way I am and sort of going up. I love meeting new people, which when before I would have been a bit difficult or I would have felt uncomfortable about it. And so sort of the time I had her, it was like charting that period, and the fact that she was there for that change was a big thing for me. When the exams started coming on and responsibilities started hitting home, so when I started GCSEs and A-levels and also then starting university, it got to a point where I wasn't seeing her so much down our field, but I still had her in my mind and I still cared about her deeply. And also when I was extremely stressed, the one thing I knew I could do is just go give her a hug and just smell her, not in the weird sense, but you know, like there's comforting smells like around you. Sometimes it can be the smell of your home, it can be your dog. For me it was my horse, like, you know, just like kind of like hugging her and then putting your face in her mane hair. And that was always a comfort for me. And immediately after that day, like, I lost that. I have like a lock of her hair still, and I tried to kind of hold it over the couple of days. And, you know, like Jelly said, touch it. Well, I couldn't actually touch it for the first couple of days afterwards, because immediately when I touched it I was kind of reminded of her. And even just the smell, and it was kind of that whole idea of losing the sort of safety blanket and the one thing which is like, well, your one biggest friend in the world that feels like, yeah. And of course in my mind I was replaying sort of the event of when it happened, and I wanted to be there to hold her when the man came, but I wasn't as strong as I thought. And so he was the one that held her when it happened, and I was basically across the field, and I saw when she like fell, and because I'm also morbidly curious about death and what it looks like when things or people die, and just so of course I ended up looking. But you know, it was just from that moment, the fact that like I took her in from the field, and she hadn't been eating properly, which had been going on for weeks, and she also had liver problems and so many other things, and we're guessing from old age. And so we were thinking at that point, oh yeah, maybe she is starting to eat, but she just wasn't. And in the morning there was a whole load of grass just hanging out of her mouth, and I pulled it out, and it actually turned out there was like just chunks of it. So she'd obviously tried, but it just wasn't going to go down, and she wasn't going to take it. And then she just walked out sluggishly, but the thing is she didn't, I don't know whether she knew. Because when I walked her, she was reluctant to come down the field this time. And then she just kind of was, I mean, there's half the time she just didn't recognise me, like she just seemed so gone and depressed. And when the man did turn up and he was just standing there, it was at that kind of last moment that she just kind of like was like rubbing her, well, not like rubbing her head, but she just kind of like put her head to sort of my leg in kind of more recognition that she was just kind of realising, oh wait, it's you. And then I had to walk away because otherwise I felt like I was going to break down, and I didn't want that to happen. And yeah, as soon as the gunshot went off, she went down and she was gone. Like, I mean, it was just a body, to be honest. And yeah. So that kind of messed me up for the first couple of days, and also I was feeling quite disorientated because I'd just come back from uni and I find home quite isolating because there's not really many escapes, and it's a tiny house, so everything just feels quite intrusive. And I had other pressures going on. It was tough. But hey, that's emotions. Anyway, okay, that was a sad note, but I feel like everyone kind of has to go through that sort of time, and this is the first time I've said it out loud about what happened to anyone. Of course, it seems stupid that the first time that I do say it is on camera. I'm moving on with everything. It's all going good. I'm trying to get more creative, writing a bit more, and also thinking about sort of more like self-healing, sort of the healing stones. So I've got this one that was recommended. It was a citrine, and it helps sort of get rid of negative energy, like anxiety and depression, and also to help with creativity and kind of keeping you more focused. And I think that's completely ideal to me, so I'm happy to have it. And yeah, that's all I got to say for today.